Once upon a time, in the land of Ethan. Ethan wasn't paying attention. With the camera on, he then dove down. He woke up early in the morning, realizing school was about to begin. He got dressed, groaned, and complained, "I don't want to do school again."
I like school.
And then he remembered that he actually really liked school, and he couldn't wait to see Mr. Rotor again to see what we were going to learn in school. He ate quickly, got dressed, packed his backpack, got his lunch, and headed out to the car. Paxton, Rory, Evie, and Ethan all hopped into the car and drove to school. Ethan was one of the first people in his class and got his desk all set up. He then sat and waited as everybody filed inside, and then Mr. Rotor came in. "Good morning, class." "Good morning, Mr. Rotor," everybody said. "How was everybody's Christmas break?" "Oh, it was great, good, fun. I wish it was still Christmas." Mr. Rotor laughed. Me too. I had a little adventure, and I think we might share another adventure with you all today." "Ooh," Ethan smiled, knowing they were probably going to be doing pirates.
Maybe.
Mr. Rotor said, "Well, it's time we head out to the bus. We've got a trip we need to take, and we've got a few things we need to learn about today." Everybody was excited and went out, wondering where they were going. Mr. Rotor winked at Ethan, knowing full well where they were going. He hopped into the bus and got everybody aboard, said, "Right, we're heading to the lake." "To the lake?" everybody questioned. "We've got somewhere we need to go, starting there." He drove them all out towards the lake, and took them all out, then walked them down to the dock, where a larger boat than Ethan was on was waiting for them. It was large enough for everybody in the class, and they all filed onto the boat. They got their life vests on and sat down, chattering about what was going to happen. Ethan went up to Mr. Rotor and said, Are we going to go visit the pirates?" Mr. Rotor said, "Yes, but don't tell anybody yet. Be a surprise." "Oh boy," said Ethan. The boat started out into the water, and then Ethan recognized something they were going towards. The time portal, the triangular-shaped metal object that was floating in the water. He couldn't wait. This time, he got to go through with where the ship went. And off they went. All of a sudden, there was a big flash, and everybody screamed. "Ah!" What was that? Everybody looked around, and all of a sudden, everything looked a little different. The water was a little bluer, and it was brighter and sunnier. They looked around and couldn't figure out what was going on when somebody gasped behind them, "There's a boat behind us!" They all looked, and there was a huge ship, a wooden vessel from had to be way back when, that was coming up behind them. "Ahoy! Ahoy, vessel!" somebody called from the ship. "Ahoy, ship!" Mr. Rotor called back. "Permission to come aboard!" he called. "State your name and business," somebody called down to him. Mr. Rotor hadn't thought of that. What was his business? "Request permission to come aboard for some passage." There was some silence as everybody on the big ship was talking. "Permission granted. Come aboard." Mr. Rotor grabbed onto one of the ropes that was coming up next to him and tied it off to the boat they were on. Then the boat began to move a little bit as the larger wooden ship was pulling them. A ladder was thrown down to him, and all the kids started to climb up it. Mr. Rotor was in the lead and decided to get to the top and start explaining the situation to the other people. They got to the top and realized that everybody on the ship was wearing a red uniform. "This must be a British ship," Ethan thought. "These are redcoats. I learned about them." All the children were all chattering and standing around on top of the ship, looking around at all the wonders of this old vessel. Mr. Rotor was off to the side talking to what looked like the ship's captain, trying to explain the situation to him. Though Ethan wasn't sure how he was going to explain that we were from the future and all these children were there to see history. Mr. Rotor came back and said, "Right, children, we're going to stand off to the side. We'll take a tour of the ship in just a little bit. Let's let the crew get their job done, and then we will see what the ship has." Mr. Rotor then began to explain about ship sailings in the 18th century and how the British had the most ships on the sea, and that every now and then a pirate would attack a ship, but the British were some of the best fighters and able to fight them off. They typically would hunt the pirates to protect their waters, and they looked as all the ship's crew began to go up and down the mast. Ethan remembered how to get up the mast and how to actually put the sails down. He told one of his friends that he had been on a ship like this before and that he remembered how to do it. Pretty soon, they heard a voice. "Ship sighted!" Everybody looked. "To the port!" And there they saw in the distance a ship, a really tiny ship far in the distance. Everybody gathered excitedly. Mr. Rotor said, "Right, I think our tour will have to wait a few. I think we need to see what happens next." As they got closer to the ship, Ethan realized it had a black flag. "It's pirates!" Mr. Rotor said, "Yes, pirate ship. Now we get to see how pirates are handled in the olden days." And that we shall see how they handle them